Okay, can you guys see and hear me out there? Anybody? Okay, bear with me. I have a little bit of technical difficulty. We're going to get this started. I think you guys can hear me, but I cannot hear anybody else, so bear with me 1 second. Can anybody hear me out there today? All right, can anybody hear me out there, please? Oh, jeez. All right, can you guys hear me out there today? Anybody out there? Hey, can anybody hear me out there today? Anybody out there from John Deere? Gretchen, are you there? Is this Gretchen?
Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me? I'm having some technical difficulties. Okay, can you see me?
I can see you. Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Thanks for joining us today. We wanted to put this together for the John Deere Landscape Group, which you guys are. And just to confirm, Gretchen, can you see my screen where it says "Stop the Drop" with the John Deere Landscape logo?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, let's go ahead and get started. My name is Joe Tortola, and I'm here today to present this flight control presentation for your group. And what we wanted to do today was educate, refresher course for everybody on flight control, how it works, how to use it, how to sell it, and help grow your business there at John Deere Landscape. We're going to do some question and answer during the course of the presentation. So there'll be slight breaks between the sections. It'll take about 35 to 45 minutes. Breaks will be about every 10 minutes. We'll ask some questions. If you guys have a question on there's a feature on the GoToWebinar where you can raise your hand. If you raise your hand at the question session, I'll go ahead and answer the question. So with that said, I'll go ahead and get started. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. Again, my name is Joe Tortola, and I'm currently a goose consultant for the green industry. I was formerly with a company called True Green, which I'm sure many of you are aware of, familiar with. And at True Green, I was the leading salesman in the country of Flight Control Plus. I worked in the Northeast Ohio area, the Akron, Canton, and Cleveland markets, and literally sold thousands of acres of Flight Control Plus. And got on a side note, we did purchase that material through John Deere Landscape, so it was a great situation. It was a great product. Also, back in 2003 through 2005, I was a sales rep for the Archeon company, who manufactures and distributes the product through John Deere. And I called on a lot of the old Lesco stores in Northeast Ohio, actually all of Ohio, Western Pennsylvania, and Western New York. So had a chance to visit quite a few of the stores back in the day. So familiar with your operations, probably know some people on this call. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, stop to drop, Flight Control Plus. Archeon was looking for a product that would be long-lasting and weatherproof without harming humans, wildlife, vegetation, or water. Basically, we wanted to effectively modify the habitat and behavior of the giant Canada goose. We worked with the USDA Wildlife Services to find a spray that would fit all these criteria. Flight control works in two ways. The first way is an anti-feeding warning. The geese get a very strong gut reaction after they feed on the treated turf. The second is a visual warning. The geese see the compound in an ultraviolet spectrum of light. This slide here, this photo on the bottom, is how we perceive they see it once it's treated. So they get the gut reaction. It doesn't harm them. It doesn't kill them. It doesn't make them get sick or go to the bathroom. But it does give them that gut reaction. They associate that with a visual warning, and they'll just simply look for another place to feed. It works that simple. Once the goose samples the treated turf, they get that gut reaction, a digestive irritation. They learn very quickly to stop feeding in the treated area. That's the behavior modification through the learned response. So without the ability to feed, the geese are forced to find an alternative feeding area. Flight control delivers a very strong consequence, and that's something that's different to other forms of harassment. It's a nonstop 24/7 consequence for the goose. In this photo was taken at a USDA wildlife facility in Plum Brook, Ohio, around the Sandusky area. This is the pen trial they did. The red line denotes the treated area was on the right. This was untreated. The goose had already sampled this area. He can now see it, so he understands that this isn't a good place to feed, and he's not going to feed on that area. Very important, and we'll go through this shortly. When the applicators do make the applications, they have to treat every square inch of the area, the drop zone, because the geese can see it. So if they miss an area, the geese will be able to feed it, and you'll get some results, or you'll get some feeding in that area, some failure, so to speak. Okay, any questions? Oops. Let me do this here. I'll bring my... Okay, bear with me, guys. I apologize. Let me get this bad boy going. Okay, do we have any questions? I'm going to unmute everybody here for just a second. Does anybody have their hand up that wants to ask any questions? Okay, any questions from the... Do we have any questions from the group on how the material works?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. How long does it last once you make the application?
That's a good question. It's going to last as long as it's on the grass blade. Now, keep in mind, it's not going to wash off with rain. It is waterproof, and it is snowproof too. The only problem is, or concern is, it does mow off. So you're going to want to look at it like a lawn care application program, a 5 to 6 step. In the spring, you're probably going to get 2 to 3 cuttings when you get the flush growth. Throughout the summer and in the fall, you're going to get a little bit longer, as many as up to 6 cuttings between treatments. So, does that answer your question pretty good?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else on how Flight Control Plus works? Okay, let's move on here.
I should. Is there anybody have a question? We have a question.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay, can everybody see on their GoToWebinar bar? There's a little icon to answer questions. Just raise your hand. If you're looking at the screen, see right there. Just click on your hand, and I'll. If I don't mute everybody, we get a terrible feedback. So, okay, I'm going to re-mute everybody back on. So let's go ahead and. Okay, so who's going to use Flight Control Plus? Large and small landscape companies pest control companies, and lawn care companies of all sizes, and live predator companies. The dog services, the border collie services, they seem to be a growing company base in the country. They're providing goose control through dog services. They're starting to find out that they incorporate Flight Control Plus in their program, and they're able to reduce their number of stops. Athletic turf, parks and recreation departments, and municipalities, our number one user in the country is athletic turf. So, I'm sure you guys have plenty of those customers or know them in your area. Municipalities and rec departments are second and third largest ones. Any waterfront properties, golf courses, marinas, universities, and school systems. One thing you want to keep in mind, we do have this available in the 2.5 gallon size, the 1 gallon size, and we now have the quart size containers new for 2014. And what we're going to do here towards the end, we'll talk about it, but anybody who responds to Ernie Porta, I'll give you his contact information here at the end, we're going to ship you a gallon of quart, so 4-quart container of Flight Control Plus. You guys can use it, you can sell it, you can use it as samples for your customers. Some of the suggested selling strategies, as I mentioned earlier, Flight Control you want to look at it as a 5 or 6 application program. Here in the Northeast, we have a 7-8 month growing season. So think of it as just like a lawn care program. When your customers do go to sell this, they're going to want to set a minimum stop charge for small areas. One thing I found out in my experiences with Flight Control is some small areas can lead to large opportunities. Also, have them be prepared to price out per acre for larger sites, and your associates can help the customers price that out. They want to really avoid one-time and partial applications. You just won't get the results you're desired with one-time applications. People are going to ask for that, and I really wouldn't suggest promoting that. Flight Control is a high revenue, high profit service. So if you have a company that's looking for both, and I'm sure all the customers are, it's a great material to do that. It's a highly effective way to reduce geese and take back your turf and basically stop the damage from geese and their droppings. No special equipment is required. They can get started with something as simple as a backpack. You can use the turf tractors or permagreen machines, anything that's going to provide a small droplet, and we'll get into that here in our next session. Quart sizes or size containers are now available. So, we've had a lot of feedback from our customers and your customers, and they're looking for a smaller container. It's a little more portable and easier to carry around. So that's going to be available. Actually, it is available now. Okay, any questions? And before I unmute everybody, if you guys could just use that raise your hand. Does anybody have any questions? I'll go ahead and just unmute you guys real quick. Any questions? Okay, no questions, guys? Okay, I'm gonna move on then. Okay, where do you make the application? Our spray strategy is very simple. Let the geese tell you where to make the application. You're going to want to treat the drop zone, and the drop zone is the heaviest concentration of droppings on a property. It's typically next to a water source, but not exclusively. Hey Wayne, I'll get to you in just 1 second. It's typically near a water source, but not exclusively. The geese feel comfortable, and they want to feed in a certain area. You're going to treat that drop zone. Could be 1,000 square feet. It could be 10,000 square feet. It could be an acre. It just depends on where the geese have chosen to to feed in that area. So I'm going to unmute you for a second, Wayne. Wayne, can you hear me? Wayne?
Yeah, I didn't ask the question. Why? Am I showing I'm asking a question?
Yeah, your hand was up. That's okay. Don't worry about it. Don't sweat it.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. So once you discover the drop zone, that's your treatment strategy. You want to treat in that area. When you go to make the applications, Right now we're obviously in the late April, early May time frame. With the flush growth that we have going on right now in Northeast Ohio, you're going to want to treat once every 1 to 2 weeks at a reduced rate, half gallon of material to 3/4 gallon material per acre. You're going to treat less of a material, but more frequently, just to get through these growing spurts that we're going to have and that we're having in some areas. I think somebody asked that question earlier. How long does it last? So you're going out there more often, but you're not treating it with such a high rate. Once we get through the periods of flush growth, late May, early August, the same rate, half gallon to 3/4 gallon per acre, but you're treating it less often. And then the final application, after your final cut and cleanup in the fall, you're going to treat it a full gallon rate per acre, October, November. As the grass becomes dormant, it's going to stay on that grass blade. It will not wash off. So if you get, like we had Ohio, I think we had a record 86 inches of snow. Thank goodness it didn't fall all at once. But even with that amount of snow, it's going to stay on the grass blade. Geese are resident. They're not going anywhere. They're going to hang out. They're going to want to feed through that area. So if you have a site that gets a lot of pressure, once it's applied in the late fall, it's not going to wash off. It will be available for the geese to sample. Once you do define the drop zone area and you determine your spray rate based on your time frame, it's really important to look at the droplet size. This is a typical backpack sprayer. I'm sure you guys deal with this stuff every day. You see that very heavy droplet size. That's not conducive for a good application. Same sprayer, just adjusted with a different tip. I think probably the best jet is the T-jet with the 1 gallon rate per 1,000 is the best way to get your material on at the proper rate. Fine droplet, think of it as painting the area. That drop zone needs to be treated completely. If you miss an area, if you miss a 1 or 2 foot band, the geese can see it, so they'll go to that area and they'll feed on it. So it's important to get a fine of droplet as possible. So think of it this way: if you get a pencil, you dip it in a glass of water, you pull that pencil out, and the droplet you get off that pencil is going to be too large. You want a very fine tip, very fine droplet size. A couple things to remember. Have the grass mowed prior to the application. Remove any heavy clippings, leaves, or other debris, including droppings. In the early spring, the first application, you may have large roost piles that need to be cleaned up. Rake it or hit it with a backpack blower. It'll clean up nicely. And never, ever, ever apply to wet turf or even a heavy dew. A lot of guys will want to go out in the morning when there's heavy dew. Simple rule of thumb: if you walk through it, you have dew on your boots get wet, don't treat it. If you take anything away from today's presentation, I want it to be this: as they make the applications, it cannot be dry. It'll simply slide off the grass blade. Always adhere to the label recommendations as far as wind speed, your PPE equipment. Don't apply 3 hours of rainfall, a storm, or an irrigation cycle. And don't walk through or drag hose through the treated area. If you pull a hose through the treated area, it's going to knock the material off. Typically dries in less than 30 minutes. Sprayers to use, we only suggest applying Flight Control Plus with a fine tip nozzle, such as a backpack. We showed that earlier. Weed Wand, the turf tractors, the ride-on spreader sprayers. I know you guys sell those, do a great job with the Permagreen machines. They do an excellent job. They are getting the desired droplet and flow rate that we want. Try to have the applicators steer clear of the Chemlon guns or the JD9s, even with a 1.5 gallon nozzle. Too large of a droplet. JD9 will get you the desired droplet size. The problem is it's attached to a hose in a 300-gallon tank, and you're gonna drag that hose over the treated area. You're gonna knock the flight control off the grass until it has a chance to dry. So we always recommend that a transfilm sticker, vapor guard, or a wilt proof. This will just accentuate the applications and get you a little better results. And keep everybody, people, places, and things off of the application. Again, it takes about 30 minutes to dry. Typical label situation there. Once the geese, what you're going to expect after the application, the geese need to feed on the treated area. So it's going to be treated. They're going to feed on it. takes about 45 minutes for them to ingest the treated turf. They're going to start shaking their heads. They're going to go to water. I've seen them peck their breast and honk profusely. They have learned that it's not a good area. That's part of the response, the learned behavior modification. They'll shake their head. They'll go to water. At that point, they've learned and they're going to go feed in a different area. Now, you may get a few different flocks in an area. When you do that, you want to keep in mind that it may take 3 to 4 days for all the geese in the area they're going to feed on the treated turf. They have to learn that. They have to get in there and feed on it. So it just takes a little bit of time. Be patient. I've seen it take up to 4 to 5 days, but after they get ingested, they're going to learn not to feed in the area. So by taking away the food source, you take away the droppings, and that's the real problem with the geese, is the droppings. Okay, some sales tools that we have available for the John Deere landscape stores. We have a trifold brochure, and I'm going to show you guys photos of all of these. This will be supplied to your branch by Flight Control Plus. We also have an applicator's guide and mixing instructions. We have the John Deere landscape business cards, which tells the story of Flight Control Plus. And if you get a hold of Ernie, and his contact information is on my next slide, he's going to send your branch a gallon of quartz. And again, this is for you to sample. You could sell it. You might have an applicator in mind that you want to give this to and let them use it and get some feedback from them. Also, we have a link on our website of Flight Control Plus to Brainshark, and it tells the story of Flight Control Plus. Here's a copy of the trifold brochures, and this will be supplied to your branch upon request. Normally, Ernie gets these out here in 2 to 3 days time frame turnaround. This is a nice brochure that your customers can give to their customers. It's a nice marketing brochure. We also have the applicator guide and strategy. It goes over the spray rate, sprayers to use, what to expect after the application, and some of the strategies for athletic school systems, waterfront properties, and also a best practices guide. We have the business cards, which will be available at your branch. There's a Q reader here. You scan it with a smartphone. Most people, if not all people, have that. It's convenient. You could do that right on the property. So for more information, go ahead and see our website at flightcontrol.com. And if you have any other questions or order brochures, please contact Ernie at archeonls.com, and he'll also make arrangements to get the quartz shipped to your branch. I'm going to end this, and I'm going to take some questions here. Okay, well, with that said, I appreciate everybody's time and attentiveness, and I'm going to unmute everybody.
No problem.
And we'll take some questions from the field.
Right? And breaks and some buys.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Any questions from the group?
I guess I'll need it beyond. Okay. All right, then. Thanks.
Okay. Was there any questions anybody had from the group? Wayne, how about you? Hey, Wayne, just go ahead and unmute yourself, and you can ask your question.
Okay.
Okay. Well, guys, I'm not sure if anybody can hear me. Ernie, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I just make one statement if people are still on. If you want the product or brochures, send me your address as well as a phone number. I'll need both of those to send out the product or brochures or EAs. Okay? Thanks.
All right, sounds good. You know what I'd recommend with those 4 quarts, I would take 4 of your best customers that your branch has. That people that are interested in growing their business and looking at a different revenue source. Give it to them. along with the sales tools that we have, and let them try it out and see what they think. So, without any further ado, I appreciate everybody's time and attentiveness, and feel free to give Ernie a call. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
27 and change with fur life. Happy Valentine's Day.